This is my husband, Dan. Dan was a hydrographic surveyor, latterly with Subsea 7. He was well respected in his industry and at the top of his game. Out of work, he enjoyed a good blast on his bike or one of his many loved guitars. But most of all, he loved spending time with his family. Dan was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer in October 2021 and died 9 months later. He was only 45 years old. These are our kids, Eric, Lewis and Nina. They were 7, 6 and 4 years old when Dan and I learned of his diagnosis. Only just a week before, they'd been on a holiday up to Dan's childhood home in Orkney, full of fun, adventure and complete innocence. We had no idea how unwell Dan was at this time, and only when he turned yellow with jaundice overnight were we alerted to the monster that was taking over his body. How can it be possible that life can change so catastrophically in a matter of days? I never imagined that it would be our family going through this, and like many folks in a similar situation, did not feel at all prepared for it. As you can imagine, everything started happening all at once. Bad news, hospital appointments, scans, more bad news, hospital procedures and admissions. And all at the same time as family life continued. The world didn't stop to allow us time to digest what was happening. The kids still had school to attend, activities to go to that they so enjoyed, friends to play with, clothes needing washed, meals to prepare. The list goes on, a part of life with which most of you will be familiar. How do you tell these beautiful wee people that Daddy is going to die? How do you navigate a way through all this and help it make sense to a child, let alone minimise the impact that it may have on them as life progresses? What language do you use that they will understand? We felt so lost and uncertain of how best to deal with the whole situation. Dan was consumed with coming to terms with the fact that his life was ending and bereft at the idea that this time with the kids was closing. I needed to look after all of them. How could I look after each of them to the best of my ability? We needed help. Thankfully, there were people that were there to help with this. Thankfully, we were not alone, and for us, this help and support came from the Archie Child Bereavement Service. We learned of the service through reaching out and asking around for resources available locally. We were put in touch with Jane, our wonderful bereavement support worker, who has supported us ever since. I never really appreciated that support would be available in the lead up to a death, and assumed that it would kick in afterwards. I never really appreciated what these charities do, if I'm honest. I would watch children in need and comic relief like everyone else, in complete awe and relief. Relief that these dreadful events were not happening to me, naively assuming that they never would. Jane was immediately approachable, warm and supportive, and provided us with the strength needed to continue through the storm. She reassured us that our concerns were entirely normal and gave us courage to speak to the kids with honesty about what was happening to their dad. She gave us tips and tricks on how to answer the multitude of tricky questions that were inevitably coming our way. She engaged with the bigger picture and liaised with the local head teacher and the kids' teachers, with regular visits to the school using various methods appropriate for their age and stage. Jane got to know the kids as individuals. They played games, they crafted, they chatted. She learned each of their little quirks and personalities, and they learned to trust her and have been able to open up to her about how they're feeling. Dan couldn't see a future in which he and his kids were together, and it caused him an agony that none of us can truly understand. But he took comfort in the knowledge that we were supported and cared for, and trusted that they would be okay. We tried to make memories with the time we had left, and Jane helped us to do this. Together, she and the kids organised a movie night for our family. A night during which we could relax and enjoy a movie, spend some quality time together, make some of those precious memories. They worked together at their sessions to plan the big event. The excitement was palpable. The invitations were designed, the signs decorated, the movie and snacks carefully selected. Jane arrived in the afternoon and turned our living room into a room fit for a cinema night spectacular. She left teepees, comfy blankets and cushions, snacks galore, and 3 happy children. We escaped from our lives for an evening, and everyone was smiling. Absolutely priceless help. Jane is an adult the kids really trust, and one who continues to be a constant through an enormously traumatic period of their lives. She attended Dan's funeral, ready to support the children should they have needed it during the service. Knowing that she was right behind us was invaluable, as none of us knew how we would manage such a dreadful moment. Life goes on for us as a family, but with an achingly large void, one that can never be filled. Eric, Lewis and Nina are changing all the time, and along with this comes its own set of joys and challenges. They have worries like all of us, some which I wish they had never been introduced to at their stage in life. They are perpetually concerned that something dreadful is going to happen to me and that they will be left alone in the world. The aches of a 46-year-old, like my gammy elbow and occasional back pain, mean something much more sinister to my kids than they should. But we plod on, and we do so with the support of the team at Archie. I know that I can turn to them at any time for advice and support. We are one family helped by this invaluable charity, but there are so many, each with their own individual set of circumstances. The Archie Child Bereavement Service supports families across the 3 health boards of NHS Grampian, Tayside and Highland. This year alone has seen support provided to 231 families so far. They offer a wide range of services which are carefully tailored to suit the individual needs of the child and their family. No child or young person should have to suffer bereavement at such an innocent age, let alone face that grief alone. Thankfully, down to the Archie Child Bereavement Service, they don't have to. As I'm sure many of you will appreciate, charity donations are down massively following on from COVID. Every penny donated to Archie tonight will make a difference to families like ours, and I can't emphasise enough how important that help is. Many thanks for listening, and I really hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.